Hey everyone, this is Nona from the Alliance Lover. I am taking a little break from my Astrology Ascendant series to talk about Emily in Paris videos. Everyone is talking about it, and I think it's pretty fascinating how polarizing her costuming is. If you didn't know, the same woman who costumed Sex and the City, Patricia Field, is also behind Emily in Paris. Now, I'm not going to be looking at the show's outfits through a personal preference majorly. I'm looking at it through the lens of Lily Collins' body type. So if you are the kind of person who really wants to dress like Emily in Paris, which is totally valid, I would recommend watching this video and then looking at your own body type to see if you're similar to Lily Collins, because what looks good on her and what she can pull off might be the same for you, or it might not, depending on your body type. Now, I'll link a video below where I talk about Lily Collins' body type and style a little more, cohesively, not just from the show. But first of all, let's just do a brief look at her body and talk about what it means to be a flamboyant gamine. So, flamboyant gamines are, first of all, gamines, and a gamine is a mix of yin and yang according to yin and yang body typing systems. Yin is round, small, soft, broken. Think of the Sistine Chapel or Marie Antoinette. This very decentralized, intricate, very flowing, floral kind of visuals. Yang is the opposite. Think of the Chrysler Building. Think of Bauhaus. Think of something very sleek, like James Bond. That is the kind of visual of yang. So a flamboyant gamine is a mix of those, and they're a bit shorter, though their range can be debatable. And they have a mix of strong linearity with more muscularity to their body, but they're shorter, they look more petite. Their limbs are kind of broken up in ratios where they tend to not be super balanced, and they tend to have a kind of square waist, or they're pear-shaped. So looking at, Lily Collins' body, from her shoulders alone, she has pretty wide, slightly square shoulders. They're stronger. Obviously, she has a good amount of muscle tone. She's not very round. She's not very curvaceous in that, kind of Marilyn Monroe sense. She has an athletic, more streamlined waist, so it's a bit more straight, not very curvy. And even though she looks very lean and long, you can still tell that she's quite petite, whether it's just from her face or if you just look at her body, her limbs, you can tell that she's not, like 6 feet tall. So for this body type, what looks best on them is something that really plays on their mix of, petite kind of ratios and proportions and this strong angularity they have. They have a very electric and very playful look to them. It's very bold, it's dramatic, it's very expressive. Audrey Hepburn is a flamboyant gamine. This is going to be a really short explanation. If you really want to learn more, there's so many videos and I'll link them below. But if your body type is kind of similar to Lily Collins, who is 5'5", from what Google says, you might be able to really pull off her looks. And now we're going to be looking at which looks are the friendliest for her body type. So this is the first outfit, which I think is really great for the flamboyant gamine, because we have a lot of boldness, form-fittingness that really shows off the different ratios and levels of the body, and an overall very electric, expressive, fun, avant-garde kind of vibe. So I know a lot of people super polarized by the very cliche hats, the beret, but if you can get past that and just look at it as an accessory and a pop of color, you can see that it really plays with Lily's face. The kind of the asymmetry, the way that it's placed, and the bold pop of color really brings out and exaggerates how linear and bold her own facial features are. She has those strong, straight brows, those large eyes, but still she has very round cheeks. She's almost like a Pixar Disney princess in real life. So this kind of asymmetry is really great for the Flamboyant Gamine. We also have these beautiful shoulders, they're very strong, obviously artificially enhanced shoulders through shoulder pads, the bold buttons, the bold print, just an overall very strong shape, and it's a bit shorter. So what you get is longer leg lines, especially important when you're cutting off your leg at the ankle with these horizontal straps here. But when you put this heavy, bold, but still electric kind of outfit on top and you let the legs show, you get a sort of balance. And the balance is kind of like when you're running forward and you gotta lean forward into it. It's that kind of balance. It's not the symmetrical kind. It's a very active and electric, kind of momentum to this outfit. Besides that, we have waist emphasis. This blazer is more or less pretty form-fitting. We have the bold cuffs, the short shorts with the bold cuffs, the very nice square but small clutch she has on. And overall, I think this really makes her look like she pops on the screen. So just look at this for a second and we'll go on to the next outfit, which I don't think is as friendly. So this is the next outfit I am analyzing. I don't think this is a very Flamboyant Gamine friendly outfit because, one, there's just too much flowiness. Look at all these tiers on the dress, the very flowy material. There's nothing really bold about this dress. It's a little soft. The material is too chiffon-like, and the print is just too flowery, too round. There's nothing bold that really plays on her natural angularity and petiteness. This jacket is not cropped enough, so you don't get to see her waist, and you don't really get to see any contrast, especially due to the color difference, the very slight color difference. You don't get to see the contrast of her shoulders to the rest of her body. Also, these shoes kind of too round, and you don't get enough form-fittingness throughout the skirt, so you lose all of her body, and what you get is just two legs kind of poking out, in my opinion. Also, the hair is just a little too unstructured for the Flamboyant Gamine, especially with this outfit. I would have put her hair up somehow, slicked back, something strong, something bold, maybe even a pompadour, just to really play to the strength of her face and that kind of forward, electric vibrancy and momentum. This is just a little bit too demure, I think, for this body type. So the next one here, I love this color. This is a very polarizing color, but I love it. But besides that, let's talk about what's going on garment-wise. So this one is, I think, a little, 50-50 for me. We have the bold print, the great, distinctions between the different levels of the body, but the distinctions are not placed in the most flattering of places. So the Flamboyant Gamine, you really want to emphasize that waist, and this is more like a drop waist effect when you're wearing a sweater that's low with a mini skirt and you have this kind of rounder coat on top. You're really, really obscuring the midline, the middle of the body, the narrowest part. So you lose all of her very petite, slim contouring, and it's just totally gone. You can really see it in this angle. The coat, I get it, it's a big coat. I think it works because the collar is wide enough and it sits outward and extends outward, so you get more of a dramatic effect here, especially when she's moving. But ideally, you would want something that has a bit more angularity and tailoring to it. This is just a little too rounded, and it makes her shoulders look a little bit more slouched than they actually are. With a mini skirt, with the socks, it's a little much because it's all soft. You have this kind of soft medium weight fabric of the skirt and this very tight, soft pair of socks. I think it would have looked better as like leather or latex boots over the knee boots, something to bring a little bit more texture to this region, because now it's just too soft. So overall, I think there are definite charming elements to this outfit, but they just need to be shaped and offered in different proportions and textures. So this is one of those outfits that if you're not really looking at the garments, you're just kind of looking at a nice pair of flat abs. We all know those people who, they can just show off their glorious abs and no one really cares what they're wearing. It's like a favor to all of us. Thank you, Lily Collins, for having beautiful abs, but I don't think this is a very Flamboyant Gamine friendly look. So let's talk about it. This is just, I think, a poorly cropped top. When the Flamboyant Gamine wears a crop top, they have to really show the contour of their torso, and that includes from the chest to the rib cage. So you want something more fitted. Since this is so fluffy, and then you have this kind of rounded neckline here, and then the straps go outwards, you're not really hugging the body, and you're creating a lot more width here than is actually there. So you lose her delicate contouring. From the side, you can really see it. She just looks like, this top is kind of restricting her, but at the same time adding bulk. It's not really doing anything for her. With the jeans, I would say, again, it's better for the Flamboyant Gamine to take the waist higher at the narrowest point of the body, especially because Flamboyant Gamines can tend to be either really short-waisted or very long-waisted, not exactly in the middle. So I think Lily Collins is a little bit longer-waisted. So when you put her in lower-rise jeans, you tend to shorten her legs. And overall, it's just not a super Flamboyant Gamine friendly outfit, I would say. So this one is interesting if you can get past the print, the Eiffel Tower on a button-up. Let's talk about the actual shaping of the garments. First of all, I love this collar on her. It's bold. It's really drawing attention to the middle of her neck and then her face, especially with this hair that's sleek but has movement to it, and it's framing her face just perfectly. There's enough structure and polish and intention and movement in this hairstyle that I think it really brings out her face instead of making the focus on her long, luscious hair. So again, really love this collar. I love that there's enough room in this button up so you can see the detail of her shoulder. You can see the width. You can see that they're like slightly sharp and pointed. Let's talk about this color blocking here, this waist emphasis, this distinction. I think this is a really great place for her to place her waist. It's at her narrowest. You get a good amount of contrast from the green skirt and the white top. And, this is a really great shape for the Flamboyant Gamine skirt-wise. It's form-fitting, and it has some interesting, heavier, bolder texture and print to it. Looking at the top, I think it's like a scarf almost. It's worn as an accessory that really draws more attention to the mid of the body of the skirts and white shirt contrast. In my opinion, it's kind of like a cape or a scarf. And I think just mixing it with these fun, sleek, but, you know, linear heels. The cut is more linear than round, and the toe is nicely pointed. I think this is a really great outfit for Flamboyant Gamines. Obviously not going to recommend wearing the Eiffel Tower on top of snakeskin, but you do you. I think it works. So quickly, just looking at these two interesting prints. Look at this one here. It has linearity to it. It has angularity. There's obviously corners and edges here, and they're strong, and you get a lot of interesting color blocking. You also have, you know, I think it's charming when Flamboyant Gamines wear longer sweaters with like leggings or dark jeans, and then this big pop of color at the boots. I think it's cute, and it works with them. It really separates their body into these very lively, different ratios. And, you know, especially when they move, you can get an appreciation for that petite, like spitfire kind of body that they have. Now, with this one over here, it's just so much large floral print that you kind of just get lost in that, and it doesn't really allude to anything on Lily's body. There's nothing really floral about her body, I would say, but I do love the bold use of color blocking. Not color blocking, bold use of contrasting colors on the jacket. I love this big collar she has on here. Again, I think she looks amazing in these hats, especially when they're tilted a bit to the side. Not a huge fan of this skirt because it just cuts her off in the, first of all, the strangest length. It's just like a bit above the knee, and it's like this weird kind of A-line, so you're not alluding to any, of her natural shape or form, and you're not revealing enough to create lines that would make any harmonious shapes. So overall, I don't think this really works, and overall, I think this is pretty cute. So these are two outfits which are a little more conventional. I think they're more accessible, but I don't think they're very successful in terms of really bringing out Lily Collins' unique kind of beauty. Lily Collins is very pretty, but she's not pretty in the way that, like a flower is pretty. She's more like an art piece. So let's look at this one. First of all, her hair is very, I would say, flat against her, and you don't get a lot of movement. So you get this almost like cap-like effect, and it's very drastic, and you're kind of seeing the hairline and her makeup more than you're seeing her. It doesn't really lend any attention to her features overall. It forces you to kind of break up her head from her hair, in my opinion. I think this is an interesting print. I'm not a huge fan of these kind of bubble skirts on Flamboyant Gamines because it totally hides their nice, more kind of athletic hips, and it hides the contour of their waist. Also, I think this kind of shoulder is a little restrictive on her. You don't get the full effect of her shoulders, which are a little bit wider, more square, a little bit more sharp and angular. Though there is a little bit of pop up here, a little extra volume, the shoulder is still not placed in a way that really aligns with her natural shoulder. So you get this kind of squished effect, in my opinion. And over here, this is just, I don't know, I'm not a fan of this very, I would say, romantic look on Lily. She looks pretty in it, but she doesn't look like her in it, if that makes sense. So I know that was a very vague sentence. It doesn't look like her, but I think side by side, this is a great way to kind of get a feel of what I'm talking about. So over here we have this very floral print. soft off shoulder, big chunky belt. What you're getting is total obscuration of her body. You don't see anything. And this is just a very overwhelming print, but at the same time, it's quite underwhelming because it's just the same on top and bottom, so you don't get that same kind of electric vivacity from the other outfits. Now looking at this one, you get so much more dimension, you get so much more texture popping out. The slightly man-tailored blazer and this metallic finish is, I think, really charming on her. It plays off of that yin-yang energy dynamic. Love this scarf. It brings more attention to her long neck, and the hair is perfectly polished. Really love this skirt. It has so many different patterns and colors onto it, and it's close enough to her body where you can really appreciate her proportions and her shape. And I think this just brings out her unique beauty way more than this does. This looks a little generic on her. This looks a bit more personal. So that being said, I just wanted to quickly go over some of Lily's outfits. I don't know if she chose them or if her stylist chose them, but these are not from the show. But I think she does a great job of dressing herself according to the Flamboyant Gamine styles. So here we have this beautiful mix of big, boxy, almost man-tailored with a blazer and this really lovely kind of oversized, exaggerated ascot neck with this amazing waist placement. You get to see the full length of her legs in these awesome latex leggings and nice sharp heels. Like the hair is just perfectly messy but intentional at the same time. You can almost see her wearing a mohawk or a faux hawk with this outfit. It's kind of that same effect. Absolutely love this outfit on her. I think if she wore this on the show, it'd be like Emily in Paris version 2. Here's something that's a bit more low-key, but you still get that beautiful play on her actual body. These jeans don't obscure her legs. They're a bit more loose, but you get the full effect of her legs, and it's separated from the ankle. As a Flamboyant Gamine, if you want to wear flats or sandals, show off a little bit more ankle and foot skin because you really want that separation and get the nice color contrast from this jacket that has enough width in the shoulders. It looks a bit more powerful and strong, and the nice bold strap, simple but bold, of her sandals. Here, I absolutely love this kind of blouse on her with the very exaggerated shoulders, the big bold print, the fringe. On other types, this is too much, but on her, it looks like just the right amount of pop and interesting detail. Jeans are great. You really get to see her body proportions. And I love that she's really playing on a strong T shape, strong shoulders, and a much more streamlined, leaner rest of the body, which is her natural shape. That's why it looks good. When you dress to highlight what you actually have instead of trying to balance your body or camouflage your body, that's when magic happens. And here, even though this is a much softer look, I think she still really plays well to her own body. Slightly oversized sweater, good waist placement, obvious shaping throughout the leg. I mean, the pants could be a little bit shorter, but overall, this is such a nice casual look that I think would be really great for Flamboyant Gamines, especially if you're visiting some European country and you want to look a little bit more low-key and blend in more because they don't dress like this most of the time. So that's just what I think of some of the outfits in terms of dressing for Lily's actual body type. I'll link the other video I did on her below. Again, this is just my opinion, and just be wary if you're trying to dress like her. ask yourself if those kind of garments, those kinds of contrast, prints, and proportions would really bring out what you naturally have. You can always take elements that you like from her outfit, from her costuming, and find them in garments and proportions that are much better for your own body type. So I'll see you in the next video. This is pretty impromptu, but I just really want to talk about it. Okay, bye.